Councilmember Spriggs,
Present.
Councilmember Patton,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bragg,
Here.
Mayor Dedina,
Here.
Councilmember West is absent.
Did you want to make a comment about Mark?
Sure. I just wanted to announce on behalf of our colleague that is absent, he is attending his first California League conference up in Sacramento for new mayors and new council members. So we wish him well, and we're going to grill him and drill him when he gets back.
Great, thank you. And now we have Christian Gonzalo Quintero from the Nestor Language Academy Charter will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. And his teacher says that Christian is a genuine desire to learn. He demonstrates a willingness to work hard and apply himself. He's aware of the world around him and often makes important connections from the outside world to classroom topics. He's always available to lend a lending hand, and I've often observed him cheering for the successes of his peers. His effective study habits enabled him to be ready to learn and fully engage in class discussions and activities, and Christian is deserving of this award. In addition, he speaks perfect, fluent Spanish, as well as obviously perfect, fluent English. So the Academy obviously works. So if you want to come up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd love to have you. And perfect fluent Spanish with a great accent. That's hard. So anyway, are there any agenda changes this evening? No, ma'am. Okay, great. And now we have council announcements, starting with Councilmember Spriggs.
Nothing really to report other than what's in the consent agenda. I'll be heading later tonight to Sacramento to attend the League of California Cities Policy Committee meetings. And to have meetings first thing in the morning because I'm vice chair of the key committee, which is the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee. So I'm looking forward to that, but not to the late night. Thanks.
Can I make a comment on the agenda just to make sure? There was an announcement on our website today about an agenda item that's actually not appearing on our agenda. It was about the article said we were discussing the of Highway 75. We're in fact not discussing that. I want to clarify that if anybody came here to talk about the relationship of Highway 75, it's not on the agenda, so we're not discussing it. I did clarify that on Facebook today when I found out about that discrepancy. So anyway, if you guys ever have questions about agenda items, you can always feel free to contact me about that. Yeah. Sorry.
Good. Okay. Just a couple of things. City Manager Hall and myself back in December, we went to the South Bay Unified School District Championships. And this is something that they do to foster excellence, not only for students, but also for staff and community members. It's a small, intimate gathering, and it's really, really touching to see all of these people get these awards. Many are shocked that they've gotten these awards, and it could be a bus driver, cafeteria worker, a parent volunteer, of course, teachers, and then always a couple students get the award. So I look forward to the next meeting. I've been to 2 now, and I think they're going to do 2 more for the rest of the year. So I think that's a great thing. Yesterday, I believe, this week's flying by so quick since Monday was a holiday. Yes, it was yesterday. I went to the school site council meeting at Mar Vista High School, which I'm a member on. And the reason I bring that up is because Rich Carrion, the principal, who's a fantastic principal, who's doing great things for that high school and really getting it back on its feet. He's talking about the parking on Elm Avenue. And I know now that Elm Avenue is starting to open up, and he talked about the parking is right now a little tough, but they are restriping next week. And as they restripe, they're going to have more people out there kind of guiding parents and making sure people know what to do on drop off and pick up. So, you know, some people are concerned about people just parking in those drop off areas. So hopefully that situation is going to rectify itself. And if not, you know, we go to plan B. So, and that's it for me.
Councilmember Bragg.
You call me Ma, Bragg.
No. No, I promise. No, sorry.
I have an announcement from our Chamber of Commerce. They are hosting a mixer, a joint mixer with Coronado. So the city of Imperial Beach and city of Coronado are hosting a joint mixer on Thursday, February 9th at the Lowe's Coronado Bay Resort. And I know that last year this was a fantastic mixer and they had a lot of people there. So tickets are $35 for members and 50 for non-members. It pays to be a member. But please see the Chamber of Commerce if you would like to attend that. And I just wanted to mention that last Saturday, I attended a birthday party for one of our residents here in the community. And it wasn't just any old birthday party. This resident turned 100 years old. Her name is Eleanor Yaquin. We're hoping that she is able to join us at a council meeting coming up in the future. Right after her birthday party, she fell and broke her arm. So, but while I was sitting there and she was surrounded by friends and family and community members, I thought, how many of us ever have the opportunity to go to a birthday party for somebody who's turning 100 years old? We go to a lot of them for somebody who's one, but this was really special. And her son and daughter-in-law are Jack and Sally Blackburn. I'm sure many of you know them. They have been extreme supporters of our Friends of the Library. So if you do happen to see Eleanor, who is a constant member at our senior center, I think that might be one of the keys to her long life. Please wish her happy birthday for us. Thank you.
Those are the Blackburns that live on 9th?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. So I grew up with their son, Mark. Okay. Yeah. Buddy of mine. All right. Thank you. There was a great council member West and I Love a Clean San Diego and city staff organized a great cleanup of the north side on Saturday. I think they had like 260 volunteers and picked up hundreds of pounds of trash. It was good. It was also a good opportunity for city staff to come out and look at some of the issues with some of the empty lots there. So I know there's been follow-up to the owner of the empty lot right behind the car wash on Palm and Florida to get that cleaned up. And we've really trying to work with our council and city staff to really identify ways to make it easier to deal with blight and more efficient. And she came from IB Beautiful, and I know that they've supported also our efforts to improve the city. So I appreciate how we're being a lot more proactive in that. And the reality, if you own an empty lot or an abandoned building or whatever, and it's blighted, you need to clean it up really quickly, and our city needs to be on that and have been. So that was really great to see. UCSD was out again at Oneonta Elementary with I think over 300 volunteers doing a community garden and all kinds of different projects there. So that's really good. I know Councilmember Spriggs and I were there last year for that. So that's awesome to see. And then we've been moving pull-up bars and building pull-up bars all over the city. So now there's some more near Zeke's area on the end of 13th Street near the Bikeway Village. So that's good. And we've got new pull-up bars on the pier. And I think there's a few more planned.
Yeah.
So that's good. So problem is I did so many pull-ups when they got put up that I actually hurt my elbow. So I couldn't do any more. But anyway, it's really great to see our public works staff getting those going. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get past that mob brag thing, but every time I think about it, it makes me smile. It's just televised, no big deal. No, I had a quick announcement. The mayor had touched a little bit on the relinquishment of Highway 75. And I wanted everyone to know that the city council authorized a few months ago a pretty comprehensive cost benefit analysis about whether or not it makes sense for the city to take that road and take jurisdiction of that road. We won't know that until we get that back. And so there's a pretty in-depth study that's going on. We'll probably get that later in the spring and we'll bring that forward. That doesn't mean that what we have to talk about on 75 tonight is not important. As you know, there's an accident out there. We are waiting for the Navy to get here. We may have to suspend the agenda, Mayor, and move forward. But they did want to talk about how some of the construction activities on the new coastal campus may affect Highway 75. So we're glad you're all here and we'll hear some important information, but we won't be talking about relinquishment tonight. Correct.
Mayor, City Council, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update and a quick update for everybody in the audience here. We're going to have 3 storms here from probably Thursday to next Tuesday with anticipation of, 2 to 6 inches of rain. Along with that, we're going to have some high winds and some high swells, maybe up to 15 feet. So with a combination of that and depending on where our tides are at, there could be a little coastal flooding, and we're not really sure, if we get, huge rain at, in a short period of time, what that's going to do down there. So we just want people to be aware of that. At the fire station, we do have 3,000 sandbags, and we just got 10 more yards of sand. So we're prepared for that. We've probably given away over 400, 500 sandbags just today.
That's great.
So we've had a constant steady flow of people coming in. So if anybody needs sandbags, we have them there. We have fire department staff over there. So if you need them tonight or, early in the morning, they are there for that. And if you know anybody like a senior and they need help with sandbags, just let us know, give us a call, and we'll bring them to their house.
Chief, can you give the best number to call if someone has questions or needs some help?
Yeah, that's going to be 619-423-8223. And that's the number of the fire department.
Great, thanks. It's really great that we have a very, very prepared city that takes this stuff seriously. So I want to thank you for that. And, I think our strategy since last year, and I know even well before I came on board with the city, that, the strategy is to be over-prepared rather than under-prepared. And I think that's a good one. And frankly, I'm really concerned about flooding in the river valley. And we talked about this and the potential flooding in the estuary with big surf pushing water into the estuary. So it'll be important to monitor South Seacoast Drive, as well as important for residents not to drive through flooded areas. That's how everyone thinks they're a Baja 1000 or an Australian off-road racer, and so they drive through these flooded areas. If you value your car, do not drive through flooded areas on the beach because the salt water will kill your car. So anyway, so thank you. I don't know if there are any other comments or questions. Great, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I've got it. And then we have public comment. We have June Engel from the library and to introduce you to the library staff.
So hi, everybody. I'm June Engel. I'm the branch manager at the Imperial Beach Library at 847 Encina Avenue at this time, temporarily. I had twofold coming here. I want to introduce myself to Councilmember West. I'm sorry he's not here, so I'd like to extend an invitation for him to swing by the library and say hi. I can introduce him to the rest of my staff, maybe talk about some of the programs that we have coming up when the new library opens up. But meanwhile, I've been wanting to do this for a couple months now. I want to introduce you to my 2 new staff. This is Veronica. Veronica is one of our new full-time supervisors here. The thing about Veronica, besides being an absolute delight to work with, when we interviewed her, Tiffany and I, we asked her what kind of program she might want to start, and she came right out and said, oh, I'd like to do a yoga story time, which just sounds absolutely fun. So of course she's going to be doing our new yoga story time, which will give us 4 story times every morning. We'll just have one day of the week that we don't have it, but 4 story times that will go on in the new building. I also want to introduce you to Carmen. Carmen has a unique distinction of being the very first person to fill this position. She is, or I should say, our full-time youth services librarian.
That's right.
This is the first time Imperial Beach has had this position, and I'm real excited to have her. Sadly, I can't be called the librarian anymore because now there's 2 of us. But I wanted to introduce you, and I hope that you guys can swing by and say hi. You want to say anything?
Good evening. My name is Carmen Ruiz. I'm the new Youth Services Librarian. I just wanted to introduce myself and just say the couple of months that I've been here, everyone has been amazing, and I'm super excited for what the future holds for the library and for the youth programming. So thank you so much for having me today.
Like June said, my name's Veronica. I've been working for the San Diego County Library since 2009. I started as a volunteer. I became a student worker. Then I became a Tech 1 and then became a Tech 2. And my goal is to become a librarian. So just graduated college. I'm going to take a year off and I'm going to go back for my master's degree. But I'm very excited to work with this community. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And now we have Karen Odermatt from the Chamber. Thank you for coming.
Hello, my name is Karen Odermatt. I'm president of the Imperial Beach Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to thank Andy Hall and Lori Bragg on January 12th. They put a presentation front row seat for the chamber to hear about the spirit of Imperial Beach 2017. Really got us all excited. I mean, we are so excited about what's going on in the city, but I wanted to make sure that I thank them for doing that for us. Thank you for letting us know about the Chamber Mixer on February 9th. That's pretty exciting, and it is a lot of fun. We went there last year. And the last thing is our chamber breakfast. We're starting them back up again in November and December. We take a break from our chamber breakfast, but November through October, we have them. And our speaker this month is Andy Hall. So he's got a lot. I think he's going to bring that presentation that he gave to the chamber. Just very exciting. I mean, the city is just, I've been here for 50 years, and this is the most exciting time that I've seen in the city. So I'm very, very excited about it. But I hope you can all join us on what is it? Chamber breakfast, January 26th. It's a Thursday in the morning at 7:30 at the Dempsey Holder Lifeguard Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Now we have IB's number 2 cyclist, Seek Missouri. Linda's number 1. Oh, we have 1 and 2 here too. That's good. Okay.
My name is Zeke Mazer. I live at 522 7th Street. I know you're not supposed to ask questions, but I'm sure everyone would like to answer the question. And Miss Engel didn't mention it. When's the library going to open? Thank you.
Good. So we're just going to connect you guys, and you can answer that question as the expert.
Jim, right behind you.
But we can. Do you want me to?
Along in the back. Right here.
Thank you, Zeke. Okay, now it is our pleasure to have presentations 1.1 on SR 75 intersection control evaluation by Captain Scott Mulville, Naval Base Coronado Executive Officer. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. I think we're getting the presentation queued up. There's some bad traffic out there right now. So an hour and 10 minutes from North Island to here. So it's badness. And that was the faster than going over the bridge. So you guys are pretty happy to be here right now. So good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Mulville. I'm going to talk a little about Naval Base Coronado, and specifically we're going to talk about some of the construction that's going on down at our coastal campus. I love our intro slide on this thing right now. We have 2 aircraft carriers who are out at sea. The USS Vinson deployed recently, so they're out. They're right off of Hawaii right now doing some training, and the USS Theodore Roosevelt is out doing some local area training and taking pilots out to the aircraft carrier for the first time as they learn how to land on the aircraft carrier. That's pretty exciting, pretty hard, but they're out there doing that training so they can go forward and do that mission anywhere in the world. Things we want to talk about today a little bit. We're going to talk specifically about the coastal campus and about how our intersection design is coming along. We have 7 projects in work right now, 3 of which will be complete this year, and we start 7 more projects this year. So 2017 is our biggest year for projects. It's all coming along. Dan Cook and his team of public works and construction men are keeping us on timeline and on budget. So it's fantastic. We need him to run for government or something. He's got the program wired, so we appreciate what he and the team are doing out there. I will put a plug in. I'm giving a brief up at Coronado on it's actually the 23rd January on air operations. So air operations is a big deal here with your Imperial Beach Airport. We do a phenomenal amount of flying out here. So I'm doing a presentation up there that I know has been on your website. You're of course welcome to attend, and I'm happy to come down and do that same presentation here, just so you can hear how our air operations are affecting the community and how we're trying to be the best neighbors that we can be. Our coastal campus is coming along. I'm going to talk specifically about the entrance that we're going to have on State Route 75, and we're calling it the northern entrance. So we'll talk about that one. This is a tough one to see, but it says FY17, FY19, the different numbers, and that's the fiscal year that particular building will be constructed. So you can see some buildings up there from fiscal year 12. We've had some projects that have been going on for a while. Our indoor shooting ranges are coming along very well. I just got a tour of those last month. They look great. They'll be shooting the first rounds in those targets in about April. So they're getting final certification. The projects look great, and I have some pictures here to show you in a second. So these are artists rendering, but I can tell you the buildings look just like that. So they've done a fantastic job making this artist rendering the actual reality. So a fantastic job up there. It looks wonderful. I think as you see it from the highway, I think you'll enjoy it. So the bottom right picture is the one we're going to spend some time on. This is what our entry control point will look like on State Route 75. We'll talk more about this one in a little bit. So here's a little bit more zoomed in here, and again, an artist rendering on this thing. Some of the commitments that we made is we wanted to make sure that all the traffic queuing, as much as we could, happened on our base. So you can see we have a pretty good arc going up into the base. We want to get cars on the base and off of State Route 75. We're also trying to be good neighbors, and that means minimizing noise from acceleration as cars are leaving through there. We also want to make sure that we maintain a scenic highway. It's a beautiful stretch of land there, and we want to have a low visual impact. So we're not going to have obnoxious signage saying, "Welcome to the coastal campus." It's going to be very much subdued, low key, and it's going to look good with the scenery that's around there. So complying with the natural blending that's there. That's the low impact signage. We also are conscious of the K's residents and light pollution as headlights are coming from that as they leave. As you look at this design, we are looking at it from the bottom to the top as if you were heading southbound on State Route 75. So the cars are making a right-hand turn in there, heading up where that truck is. There will be 4 lanes of traffic. If in the morning for high tempo operations, we can go to 3 lanes inbound and 1 lane outbound. We'll have 800 feet of queuing space on the base, so we anticipate no problem during our rush hours in the morning to get people on the base off of State Route 75, and then we can deal with them from there. I'll quickly touch on some of the highlights here. I've already hit on a couple of them. We want to comply with the scenic highway, and we have done that. We want to keep everybody inside the blue line. The blue line is where we consider that's where our property starts. So for this discussion, once you get off of State Route 75, that we're going to call that base property. We want to get people off of State Route 75. We looked at a roundabout, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And we also looked at a flyover. I like to have a little bit further up State Route 75 where there's an overpass and some traffic can pass below it. I'll show you both of those things and the reason we didn't go with those. We're very conscious about how we have headlights and light pollution as we go through there. And I talked about how the signage is working. So I think we've done a good job on this, and I hope to show you that we're trying our best to be good neighbors and forward thinking as we look at this space. We want to make sure that we have over-engineered it so that 10 years from now, people aren't scratching their heads going, "That Mulvihill guy screwed it up." So we want to make sure that we got it right so that it's good for all people who are transiting through there. We're working right now on a bus stop and to make sure that there's a connectivity with the bike path. So we want to be very much transportation friendly. So we are working with MTS and Caltrans to see if we can have that bus stop on the base. That'll screw up their timing a little bit, but we're working with them to see if we can have that stop on the base. So that way we have less people walking across the strand, and that'd be good for traffic. Here's again, an artist running, and this is what it's going to look like at our guard booth. So as you're coming on the base, that's where the guards are going to hang out. I put this picture up there because I'm going to tell you that I have ripped off my guards to put more money into the construction of the intersection. So we only have X amount of money. So I took some money from giving them nicer facilities, and I'm putting that money into the intersection so we can make it as good an intersection as we can. So it's over-engineered, and away we go. So my guards aren't terribly happy, but that's okay. I want to make sure that we're good neighbors and we're doing the best we can for our traffic as we're out there. I put this slide up there because we were required by Caltrans to see if we could do a turn circle at this intersection, so a roundabout. So very European. We looked at what I'd like you to take away from this is it would take up a fantastic amount of real estate for us to put this in here to make it work. We don't have that real estate. So a lot of the land on the coastal campus is protected land. Some of it's state land, which I can't build on anyway. Some of it has endangered species on it, which we can't build on. So we looked at this and we were unable to do it. We would have lost a lot of the bike path. We would have been impinging on other land that we can't use. So in coordination with Caltrans, we said, can't do it. So what we are doing, and this is a zoomed in picture of what we are going to do. So as you look at this chart, from the left to the right would be heading south on the strand. So if you are heading south on the strand, we're going to have about a 500-foot turn pocket for people to get off of State Route 75 as they're making that right-hand turn. That right-hand turn goes right on a base, easy. If you are heading northbound on the strand, if you are continuing north, we'll have 2 free lanes that you can go zipping by, kind of like we already have on the strand. Then there will be a dedicated turn lane. That dedicated turn lane has 600 feet of queuing space on it. So once again, we have 2 lanes that are zipping by and then a 600 foot of queuing waiting for that light to go. When the light is activated, those lanes will turn and away we go. Okay, slightly different perspective. So again, if you're going from left to right, you're heading south on the strand. So I'm trying to show some of the different perspective here. As you look at, I don't think I have a laser on this thing. Fly out. The strand will allow us 600 feet of queuing if you are turning from the north onto the base. I will have 800 feet of queuing from where that blue line starts coming onto the base up to my first guard. Like I said, I can have 2 lanes normally, take it out to 3 lanes. So we're gonna be able to get people on the base and not slow down the strand traffic. We are cognizant of the fact that left turn lane will be activated primarily for pedestrians as they hit that button. And we also would like to get the bus stop not on the far side of the strand. We'd like to have the bus stop on the base. So that's fewer people crossing the strand. Like I said, we're negotiating that right now with Caltrans. So we believe we have ample queuing opportunities, whether you're heading southbound, northbound, or once you're on the base. I'll talk briefly about the flyover. So the picture on the left is what the flyover looks like currently, right outside the Ks. And the blue line around it's the footprint. So now if you take that footprint and superimpose it on the right-hand picture, and that's where it would need to be if we did that type of formation right outside of Coastal Campus. So the footprint, take a look at that. I'm going to take you to the next slide. But that's where we're comparing it. So that's how big the footprint would be for that type of structure. Now we've kind of flipped the chart on you here a little bit, so bear with me. From left to right is heading south. The blue footprint is still the flyover structure and the size of it. This flyover structure, much like the roundabout, would impinge on state property and it would impinge on endangered species. So you can see that orange area over there. We cannot build on that area. So we looked at this. There are also many negatives to having the flyover for it. Lots of coordination, lots of permitting. To have the flyover, we'd actually have to dig into the soil quite a bit, and the water level is so high, it would get very expensive for us to do that. Again, I already referred to, I have a finite amount of money to do this. We also have more noise from the elevated roads, so the Ks would not be very happy about that. And it would also cause more light pollution as the cars are coming up and over it. So for those reasons and a phenomenal amount of money, we decided not to go with this particular setup with it. So as I transition from that particular intersection, I can pause here, sir, for any questions you guys may have on that intersection before I do a couple other points on the coastal campus. Here you go. Yes, sir.
When the acceleration lane going north, I understand. Is there an acceleration lane leaving there and going south? I saw it,
Yes.
but you didn't point it out
How
quite.
much spot we got there? We do have trying to get a good picture for it.
That'll do.
Yeah, so as you are leaving, the 2 right lanes will be 3 lanes to continue to the right, so we don't want them to stop. If you are leaving the base, we want you to be able to just get in traffic and go. And there will be a slight area there that you'll be able to accelerate. I don't have to. It's not the.
So if that, say I'm driving south and the light is green and I'm free and clear, I do need to watch for merging cars, and that's all going to be worked in nice and calmly. And okay, that's
Yeah, we think based on where that is visually, that you'll be able to see cars from farther north than you're heading south.
It's not unlike the one, Bobby, that's, I'm sorry, Councilmember Patton, on the Strand, at the end, when people get get onto the Strand, at the middle of the Strand where the overpass
Right.
is, because that's pretty short. I always go to my left lane on that.
right.
I'm
I
running
think that'd be
similar to that.
probably good. Okay, that's all.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Could you show on this map or one of the others where the proposed bus stop would be on the base?
As I said, it's just a proposal right now. So there's a couple different places that we're looking. So right now, where we would currently be sitting with MTS is they'd like to leave it if you're heading northbound on the far side. So I don't have a map here. On the north end, that's where MTS is proposing it would be. We would like to get it inside the base, so that the bus would have to come in from the north, turn onto base, drop off the sailors, and then exit the base and go. We have to work with them on the timing of that because that will screw up the flow they currently have. We think that'd be huge for everyone. So that's just fewer people crossing the street. Of course, the bus doesn't happen that frequently, but it's a guaranteed crossing if people have to do it. Well, that's a great question, sir. I don't have that answer, and I don't think we have any way to get that answer. We don't know who's going to be, where they're living, where they're coming from, or how they're going to do it. I anticipate we're going to have a fitness bunch because they are Navy SEALs. So I anticipate there will be lots of runners, lots of bikers trying to get their way to work on this thing. I don't have a good answer for you, sir, on the bus ridership, though. Sorry.
Councilmember Bragg?
Thank you. Captain Mulvihill, I really wanted to express my appreciation for you even entering into discussions with MTS. You and I have talked about it before, and you and I and your predecessor had talked about it before. This was a goal of our community and the Navy. I just want to stress that we really want to work with MTS and getting sailors to utilize public transportation. So I see this as a step in the right direction. And so I really do want to grant you my just deepest appreciation for that, because we've talked about it a lot. And it's something that MTS it's on their forefront as well. So thank you again. I had a couple of questions though about and these are a little technical, I guess, about the queuing, the 800 feet queuing and the 600 feet queuing. How many cars would that accommodate? I mean, in
Yeah,
600 feet, how many cars would you have?
We've done the math on this. and I'm
Okay, I
gonna go
figured
back
you
to
would.
My math guys back here. Bring it on, Dan.
If you want to step up to the microphone, that'd be great.
You brought the engineer out, right?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so this is Dan Cloutier. My engineers are dressed in green tonight to stand apart from me. So these are the guys who are responsible for the engineering aspects of this construction project. So I'm the good looks. He's super smart. So I'm going to bring him up here now. We're gonna talk about this right now.
Well, certainly appreciate that, sir, but definitely far from the truth here. So, with regards to the queuing capacity, so on the northbound 600-foot lane, you're looking at between 25 and 30 cars. You know, about 22 feet is what you allow per vehicle in those lanes. So about 25 to 30 cars that could stack in that left turn lane. You've got about 20 to 25 cars that can be in that right turn lane coming southbound on State Route 75. And where we really make our money is on the queuing capacity on base. So with that 800 foot, if you flex that to 3 lanes, which we have the ability to open up to during our peak hours coming on base, you got the ability to cover up to about 110 cars. And so,
Okay.
so you've got some significant space there. Overall, if you look at the population of the base, it's about 5% of the overall population. So at any one given snapshot in time, having 5% of the availability of all folks that could be coming on if every individual was driving their own car is a lot better capacity than you see at any other installation, I think, in the area, and certainly at most access points to restricted facility.
Okay, thank you for that. That was exactly what I was looking for, the answer that I was looking for. And again, I want to thank you for, this was an issue, this queuing and where people were going to, we didn't want them on the strand. So your response in engineering this is right on the money for us. And I appreciate
Well, thank you. And we've
you.
learned lessons. Like I said, we want to make this good for the next 10 years at least. So as we look and see what's in front of the amphibious base and how that's set up, we want to make it better. So that's our goal on this thing. And I think we've hit it based on their hard work on it. To your point with MTS, we want to make it super easy for the bus so that people want to look at the bus and go, boy, that'd be easy to get to work. So that's our goal, is that no matter what the ridership is, we want people to look at it and go, that's super easy. So that's our end goal for that. Absolutely.
Just to follow up on the queuing capacity, what's the amphib base queuing capacity? Because that's the one that always backs up north and southbound. So just so I get a comparative.
Well, I don't know if we have the actual distance on that, but for the northbound queuing, as I live there, I exit every morning, and
Right.
we are not queued up to turn right on that thing. So
Right.
people are able to turn in right early. As they're queuing in from the south, do you know
Right.
what the distance is on that?
I don't have the distance.
Or how many cars do you think that
But
is?
it's less than.
Yeah, that's why I just wanted to get an idea. Okay, that's what I figured.
And that was a great one. As you asked that question, I was like, I need to have a comparison to NAB so I can say, yeah, if you reference the amphib base,
Right.
this will be much bigger, much larger. So I'll get those answers. I'm fine taking away homework, so we'll get that.
I want to thank you and your team for coming tonight. It was a great presentation, and more importantly, we just met with you last week, I think, to talk about this stuff. And then just for the public, the issue with traffic on Highway 75 isn't each individual light; it's the cumulative impact of having an antiquated traffic signal system from the entrance to Interstate 5 all the way out to what your new base. So we're thankfully, it's part of the budget of this project. It should include the signalization of the lights or an upgrade from the entrance to the freeway all the way back to your base. So that's really going to be the key thing, along with us improving Highway 75 and making it traffic flow better, for making traffic flow better and getting things working better. So anyway, I want to thank you for that. I do know that it's not easy to negotiate with the Fish and Wildlife Service and the folks at the Strand and Caltrans and MTS and us, but we appreciate you guys doing it. I think you've done a super job, and I know that it's taken a lot of work, but you've done a good job of it, and you've built good friendships and have those good relationships with the neighbors. Really goes a long way to making sure this project is successful and works for everyone. So thank you.
And I thank you all for letting us come down here and talk about it. I want to make sure that you understand what we're doing. We're trying to be transparent. I want to thank you, your community for being so wonderful for us in the military. We love it here, so thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Oh,
I have one more slide, whether
sorry.
you want to see it or not.
Okay.
That's okay. It's people have been asking us about the temporary utility poles that are
Okay.
all over the place. They are that only. They are temporary only as we're working the underground construction to get them installed. So those will come down eventually. I've got some highlights as to where they are right now. Not aesthetically pleasing, but it's just part of the construction process. So we will get rid of those soon. The only other thing I want to talk about, I briefed you guys before on potentially the need to close down one of the lanes on State Route 75 northbound, depending on construction traffic. Currently, we have not had a need to do this. So based on what we're seeing right now from our construction, we're getting it done without needing to shut down one of the lanes to make it a dedicated left turn lane. If we decide we have to do that, I will again come and give you at least 2 weeks notice, and we'll have a pretty saturating media campaign so everyone knows about it, and some obnoxious signage out there. Unfortunately, reducing the speed limit to 55, but letting everybody know, hey, it's going to be slow for a little bit. Left turn lane will be a dedicated left turn lane, as I've briefed you before. So I just want to let you know that we haven't had to do it yet. I'm hoping we can hold off as long as possible. The team has done a great job of getting it done without that dedicated left turn lane. I will make one final plug for the community here, and you guys have access to these slides. We have a wonderful hotline and a website if there's any sort of community concerns. So we changed that from a noise complaint to community concerns. So if there are issues you have with the base or how we're operating, let us know. Call us. Wes usually answers those phone calls. We'll respond to your inquiries on the web. We want to know what the issues are so that we can take care of them. I can't fix what I'm not aware of. I think that's the end of my program. So any final questions?
Yeah, one final thing. You'd mentioned you're doing a briefing in Coronado on air operations, and I think it'd be a great idea if we could have a briefing as well, because our community is very much affected by air operations.
I'd be more than happy to come down, and anytime you would like me to come down, we can make that the next topic if you'd like. So I'm ready to go for that brief, and I'll let you know what we're doing here, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Happily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I too was caught in that traffic today. From the bridge to Imperial Beach, I lost count, hour and a half, whatever. It was tough. But Captain Mobile, I got to tell you, you're a great listener, and you know we've brought up some things, and you've definitely addressed them. But from cars entering and exiting the main entrance, the way they did it with tact, you know, I haven't seen any problems since I brought up one thing. Problem solved. So I thank you for that. You know, we couldn't ask for a better neighbor, obviously. And the fact that you're here checking in with us, it means a lot because, you know, our community, you know, you're doing something huge next to us and you're checking in with us, and we're able to kind of let you know how we feel. We hear it from the public. We kind of repeat it back to you, and kind of goes that circle. And, you know, we look forward to working with you in the future. And I know there's a lot of still things that are still kind of dynamic that are happening. And I know that you're keeping us informed with that. So I appreciate your expertise as well as your staff. You know, you have some great people around you, and I know that for a fact. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I do have a wonderful team, and this is just a small representative sample about the guys with the biggest brains tonight in case there were math questions. So it's good.
Any more questions? Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You didn't have another question? Okay. Great. Moving on to consent calendar. I would like to entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items numbers 2.1 and to 2.6.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carried unanimously by those present. West is absent.
Great, thank you. Now we have item 5.1, resolution number 2017-7762, proclaiming a state of local emergency related to the discharge of untreated wastewater in the Tijuana River. City Manager Hall will give the report.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, in the future, you will see this item on your consent agenda, but for several years, probably for close to 10 years, the City Council had an ongoing state of emergency in the Tijuana River Valley. And about a month ago, we attended the City Council meeting in San Diego, and San Diego was contemplating the end of the state of emergency And we went and said, no, we really need to keep the state of emergency going. The city council agreed. They kept their state of emergency going. But in doing that, we noticed that we have failed to continue our state of emergency, and we need to do that. It needs to be renewed on every 30 days. According to state law, it needs to be renewed every 30 days. So what the local state of emergency, what allows us to do is to respond quicker to anything that might happen in the river valley, rather than having to come to council, for example, to get our front end loader out there and be able to, for instance, last year, I think when the river mouth kept closing, we needed to make sure that we were out there trying to do what we could to keep the river flowing and not have any polluted water back up into the estuary. And it was important that we jumped on that as quickly as we could. But in order to avoid coming to the city council, getting a CEQA analysis and being able to do that under the typical approval process, a state of emergency allows us to respond quicker to the things that are happening in the river valley. And just with the dynamics of the river valley, just like we testified to the council of the city of San Diego, we would implore that our city council also maintain this state of emergency so that we can react quickly to things that might happen out there until we have a better situation in the river valley. And right now, with 6 or 7 days in a row of rain coming, is a really good example about why we need to be able to get out there and react without waiting 2 weeks to have another council meeting. That's what this is really all about. In the future, we'll make sure that we put it on the consent agenda. So until, again, we have a better handle on what's happening in the river valley, which may take several years, but it's an important thing for us to continue to do.
Questions, Councilmember Bragg?
Thank you. I do have a question. When will this go into effect?
It'll go into effect immediately after passage tonight.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilmember Patton.
So if it goes on the consent, would it be on consent once a month?
Correct.
To keep that 30 days
Correct.
going?
That is correct.
And this state of emergency, is this saying that city of San Diego, we have access to their resources as well?
The city of San Diego has also passed a very similar state of emergency, and we work very closely with them. If something were to happen, yes, absolutely. The city of, not only the city of IB and the city of San Diego, you have the county, you have the Navy. If we had to, we could also talk about the state of California, National Guard. Right now, mostly it is like the river mouth might close, or we might have, they have the booms to collect the garbage. Sometimes those may break and we need to get out there and get another boom in as quickly as we can. It's things like that that normally would require a CEQA analysis and a meeting and a public hearing. It allows us to act a little bit more quickly to protect the river valley.
So it's imperative that this doesn't get missed.
Correct. We cannot miss this again in the future. Absolutely.
I guess my question has to do with, I mean, obviously this is necessary. We all know the conditions, and we've had reports before about the bacteriological and other consequences of pollution in the river valley that flows into the estuary and into the ocean and onto the beaches. But what I was wondering is whether we, not that it would hold this up, but whether we have any health-related evidence that we would want to associate with this declaration. That because there are lots of assertions in here, we all know they're true, but we don't really cite anything by way of prior analysis of the water, or you had mentioned the trash gates breaking, even incidents like that happen frequently. We don't really cite anything specific like that in the consequences of it. So I just think it'd be stronger if we, maybe when it's up for consent, that the consent report contain some supportive material like that, if that's possible.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely.
And then it should be, I'm sorry, any more comments? It should be untreated and treated wastewater, or we should look at that, but that's for the next one, just because we're getting killed by the treated wastewater they dump in every day, 15 million gallons.
That's
so.
right. This is an older
Yeah, so
resolution.
it's fine. No,
That's a
we
good point.
can upgrade it, and we've got a lot more. It's our resident expert here, Chris Helmer, so a lot more data we can put in there. So next week I have a meeting with Mayor Faulkner to talk about this issue with Andy Hall and some other stuff, Highway 75, and then I got the mayor of National City, the mayor of Chula Vista, the mayor of Coronado, and David Alvarez to sign onto a letter, the North American Development Bank and the Border Environmental Cooperation Commission that also went to the International Boundary and Water Commission, all our elected officials at the federal level to make that made a forceful case. We should put that next time in the record. To really fast track sewage improvements. And that's because the North American Development Bank is investing in close to a $1 billion desal plant in Rosarito Beach that they plan on selling the water from that plant back to U.S. consumers. And so we made the argument that if you're going to sell desal water from Baja that gets up to 50 million gallons of raw sewage dumped into the ocean around it, better make sure that sewage is cleaned up first before you sell it to consumers. Not an IV in Chula Vista. So the Chula Vista are the guinea pigs. And we've made that really clear that we'll do everything we can to make sure that water isn't sold in the U.S. until that sewage is cleaned up. So lo and behold, that's gotten a good response. They're first of all, there's no water in Baja at all. They're luckily they got water now, but they are under a severe drought crisis with water in Ensenada and Tijuana and Rosarito. So they need desal, but they also need to stop dumping their treated sewage, treated to the tertiary level, into the Tijuana River every day. It's 15 million gallons of reusable water that then picks up and flows with all the treated sewage and then makes the river flow, which it is now, and then flows into the ocean. And even today, before the rain, my Wildco staff was in the river valley today, and it's filled with garbage. They posted photos on Facebook, filled with garbage, filled with sewage, and it's a mess, and it shouldn't be. So anyway, I'm confident that because of the need for this desal plant and the need to clean up the ocean sewage or the sewage before it reaches a desal plant, there's more political will than ever than Mexico. We've had conversations with the governor, and I'm meeting with a new mayor soon to talk about this as well. So got to keep pushing, but we're going to keep pushing, and now we have something to push for. So that's good. So thank you for doing this. All right. I would like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7762 to proclaim a state of local emergency related to the discharge of untreated wastewater in the Tijuana River and direct the city manager to forward this resolution to federal and state agencies and to request the governor of the state of Baja California to proclaim a state of the governor of the state of California to proclaim a state of emergency because the city's resources are inadequate to cope with the emergency pursuant to Government Code Section 8625C and IBMC Section 2.52060. Right, please vote.
Motion carried unanimously by those present. West is absent.
Great, thank you. Now, item 5.2, resolution number 2017-7763, appropriating 75,000 RTCPI CIP funds to the reconstruction, including overlay of a section of Palm Avenue between 7th Street and State Route 75. And City Manager Hall will give the report.
Mayor and Council, real quickly, as you know, the construction is wrapping up on the 9th and Palm project, and they will be improving the connection of Palm Avenue to Palm Avenue. Something like that. Palm Avenue to SR 75, I guess, is the best way to describe it. You can see the map there. There is what you see in gray hatched is what the developer is required to improve. There's an area of the road that is heavily used by our residents that is off-site for the developer. And this would be a really good time. This is a piece of road that is not in good condition. And we have funds that we collect from the building permits that are issued along the state route corridor that can only be used on the state corridor to improve that road. We think a really good use of those funds would be to improve that so that that's a whole brand new road as you pull into Old Palm. And so we're asking the city council tonight to appropriate $75,000 of those special funds that can only be used on Highway 75 to improve this section of the roadway. And that's the resolution that's before you tonight.
Great. Are there any questions, comments?
May. I really wanted to thank our Hank Levine and Andy Hall for this. This is something that we had been talking about as council members for a number of years now, is that when we have a project before us, that we look at everything surrounding that project. And if we can make improvements where needed at the right time, this actually saves us money in the long run. So I would be happy to move this item forward.
Great, thanks. And also just a comment, we met with some residents of the area, the breakwater, and they had nothing but compliments for the developer and our city for responding to comments. And a resident called me this morning. Apparently that problem was taken care of as well. So it's been a lot of good communication. If you're from that area and you have a problem with some of the issues, just make sure you contact us and we'll get on immediately. But Sudbury's been very good about dealing with the many issues surrounding that, one of the largest construction projects in Ivy history. So we had the motions, right? Oh, yeah.
So I assume these funds are going to be added to the existing construction contracts that are doing the work there? So
Yeah, we're hoping that it will be the same contractor. That'll make a lot of sense. We're trying to work that out with Hazard right now and get the best possible price that we can. But yes, that's who we're working with.
Thank you.
Great. Did we get motions yet? You did 1 second. Please vote. Right.
Motion carried unanimously by those present, West absent.
So 6-1 you're doing.
Yes.
IBD Redevelopment Agency's successor agency reports. Item 6.1, adoption of resolution numbers SA-1754 and SA-1755 of the Imperial Beach Redevelopment Agency successor agency approving the administrative budget and the recognized obligation payment schedule for the 12-month period from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, and approving related actions. City Manager Andy Hall will give the report.
Mayor and Council, Doug had to leave a little bit early, so he asked me to cover this item on the agenda. I think it's pretty straightforward, something you do on a fairly regular basis. Taking off your hats as members of the City Council, you are now, directors of our successor agency to the redevelopment agency. And what the state requires every year is for us to pass what's called a recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS. And what that does is that the state pays us to make sure that we are taking care of what was previously the redevelopment agency responsibilities. The project we just talked about, for instance, 9th and Palm, was a redevelopment project. And so what happens is, because the state now is collecting all of the property tax for those projects, they send us administrative money to make sure that these projects are properly administrated and that they get built and all those kinds of things. So what we're asking for is the maximum that we can ask for, and we are usually given, which is $250,000 for the annual administration of the redevelopment agency, or the successor agency. And I should point out that that's the minimum that the state provides. They don't provide anything less than $250,000. But because we're a small RDA, that's what we get, is $250,000 to administer that, plus some legal fees that you saw in there. So again, this is a very routine thing, something that you guys do on a very regular basis. But again, this is an action of the successor agency and you as directors, not as council members. Just wanted to point that out.
Comments, questions? Great. I would like to entertain a motion to adopt, patience please, resolution number SA-1754, approving the administrative budget for the 12-month fiscal year period from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, and approving related actions, and resolution number SA-17-55, and approving adopting the recognized obligation payment schedule for the 12-month fiscal year period from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, and approving related actions. Is there a motion? So moved. Please vote.
Motion carried unanimously by those present, West absent.
Thanks everyone for such an efficient meeting. That's adjourning the regular meeting, and now we go into our closed session. And I call the closed session meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.